Catholic Moments, Episode 116, Alicia Hernon.
Blooming, finding joy in the journey and hope in the heaven yet to come. Blooming.
Hello and welcome to Catholic Moments. And now, here's your host and my mom, Lisa Hendy.
Well, thanks, Eric, and welcome everyone to another episode of Catholic Moments, the show from CatholicMom.com where we talk about all things faith, family, and fun from a Catholic perspective. I missed you guys last week. I'm very happy that you were able to be patient with me while I took the week off. I didn't really take the week off, but I did take it off from podcasting. If you follow me online, you know that I was busy writing. I'm working on my book project, and my book edits were due this Monday. So last 2 weeks were spent heavily engaged in rewrites and edits and working with my editor on making that project the best that we can possibly make it. I'm very excited to let you know that the draft is back in, and I was so excited to see it again. You know, you forget actually how much work went into writing the first time around, and it's much better for the work that my editor has done on it. And it's really exciting to see it beginning to take shape, and I'm happy to let you know that it will be available in February of 2010. So it seems like a long time from now, but the way things go around here, it'll be just right around the corner, and I'm sure we'll be sharing all kinds of news and information with you on that. So thanks for being patient with no podcast last week. As a result, we've got an extra long episode this week. So if you are listening on a busy schedule, you may want to listen in two segments to this podcast. We've got lots of news and information, some great insights from some of our wonderful contributors, contest updates, of course, and my favorite thing about this episode, an interview with someone I know you're absolutely going to fall in love with, Alicia Hernon. She's a fabulous contemporary Catholic recording artist. You're going to hear a bit of her music, and you're going to fall in love with it and with her as well. So let's get the show kicked off right away with our good friend, Sarah Reinhardt, with this week's Merry Moment.
Hello, my name's Elizabeth.
And my name's Sarah Reinhardt.
It's time for Merry Moments.
This week, I'd like to share a poem with you that I found at Ginny Moyer's blog. Ginny has become a good friend over the last year, and I've immensely enjoyed her book, which is by the same name as her blog, Mary and Me. Look in the show notes for links to both the blog and the book. Here's the poem. Our Lady of the Broom by J.G. Shaw. The large and lovely lessons you taught with little breath in the liturgy of the hour in the house at Nazareth are such fantastic simple things that mortals may presume to call the Queen of Seraphim Our Lady of the Broom. For you who rule the angels built up our legacy by living a life of little things that we do every day. You cooked, cleaned, washed, and mended, scrubbed the kitchen floor, teaching a world the woman's way to worship and adore. How beautifully you taught us where all perfection lies, by seeing all salvation in the work before your eyes, immensity in little space, the world in the humble room you swept and kept and cared for, Our Lady of the Broom. Isn't that lovely? What struck me about that poem was something that continues to strike me about Mary. I've been writing a series this year over at Today's Catholic Woman, a site sponsored by Catholic Exchange, and I'm writing on Mary's title. As I research each new title, I find myself learning more and more about how ordinary and extraordinary Mary was and is. She could be Our Lady of just about anything. Thinking about her as Our Lady of the Broom, as this poem encourages, makes me think of the menial work she must have done in her life. She swept the floors, she changed diapers, she did laundry. There's no glamour in any of that. But sometimes glamour is overrated, no matter what culture would have you think. Until next week, I encourage you to find Mary in the nitty-gritty parts of your life, in the work before your eyes. Let her take your hand and lead you to her son, who wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty either.
Hey, thanks, Sarah, for that. What a wonderful poem. I know that everybody's going to want a copy of that, and I will definitely have links to both Sarah's blog, which you can find at snoringscholar.com, and to the blog she referenced in the piece as well. What a wonderful bit of inspiration to continue our week off in under Mary's wonderful guidance and intercession. And now let's hear some news from some friends who are sharing news and information about some brand new podcasts. And the first of which is our good friend, Susan Bailey.
Have you ever wondered if reading the Bible and praying can impact your life? Can a moment-to-moment walk with God really help you through the storms? My name is Susan Bailey, and I invite you to listen to How Can I Keep From Singing, a faith in action podcast where I share through testimony and music how I'm finding peace and joy amidst the trial of layoffs and unemployment. Visit sungrosary.com, click on the podcast link, and hear for yourself how a living walk with God through prayer and His Word can sustain you. Deacon Dave McDowell says the podcast is gutsy. Lisa Hendy of CatholicMom.com remarks, "It's so encouraging, I can't wait to hear the next episode." And Pat Gone, host of the Among Women podcast, calls it real, honest, and genuine. Visit sungrosary.com and click on the podcast link to hear How Can I Keep From Singing. Remember to keep the faith and keep on singing.
I was fortunate enough to hear the first episode of Susan's new podcast. You might know Susan from Grapevine, the Catholic music magazine, and the former Grapevine podcast, which was absolutely wonderful in keeping us updated about music. But this podcast, I think, is really going to touch a lot of hearts and souls. Susan is so talented musically, and there's something so soothing about the quality of her voice. But most importantly, it's the content in this podcast that I think is really going to stir your soul, and I hope you'll check it out. You can head over to Susan's website at sungrosary.com and click on the podcast tab for more information about how to subscribe to that particular podcast. And next up, I'm so happy to share with you this promo for, it's not a new podcast, it's been out there for a while. It's from a new friend of mine, though. Her name is Avery, and she's the host of a podcast called Live WTL, and the website is livewtl.com. Her enthusiasm is so infectious, and when you listen to the show, you're going to really want to share it with the teens in your life. So here's Avery with some news about her show, Live WTL.
Hi, my name's Avery. I'm the host of Live WTL, a podcast for Catholic teens. My show, which comes out every couple of weeks, helps Catholic teenagers learn more about their faith and gives them the knowledge to discuss it with their friends. On the show, I talk about the life of a saint, the scriptural basis for Mass, good Catholic books, prayer, and apologetics, which is where we tackle the tough questions about our faith that we may come upon. We also have fun with our trivia section every show. You can check out Live WTL's website, which has weekly Mass readings, links to more books and resources, and all of the shows, at www.livewtl.com.
Avery, I'm so happy to help spread the word about the great work that you're doing over at livewtl.com, and I hope everybody will check it out. Whether or not you have a teen, man, her attitude is so infectious, and it comes across in the way that she's evangelizing using the new media. We talk so much about this around here and over at sqbn.com, but Avery is out there doing it, so let's support her. Go over this week and visit livewtl.com. And now I'm happy to introduce a new member of the Catholic Moments family. She's going to be contributing here from time to time as she prepares to launch a new podcast of her own. It's our friend Nancy Brown, and you might know Nancy from her work over at Chesterton.org, and she's here with the very first of our Chesterton Moments.
Have you ever wondered about the author G.K. Chesterton? Maybe you've seen an episode of The Apostle of Common Sense on EWTN, heard a Chesterton Minute on Catholic Radio, or just know the name from friends who make it sound like you should be reading Chesterton. Maybe you've tried to read Chesterton and just can't get into it. His books don't read like novels. Even his novels don't read like novels.
If you're an underliner or a highlighter, you probably find yourself underlining and highlighting almost everything he says, or almost nothing. You try to read the book again, and this time when you pick it up, it seems to be a completely different book from the first time you read it. What gives? Who is this man called Chesterton, and what's the big deal about him? Chesterton is relevant today because he is a prophet. He wrote about things 100 years ago, and yet, when you read him now, you'd swear he knows about today's political climate, today's economic climate, today's moral climate, and today's religious climate. Chesterton is important because he was a complete thinker. He was accused of being absent-minded, but that was only because he was so capable of sustaining serious and concentrated thought on the problems of his day and ours. What book of Chesterton's should you read first? Obviously, I want you to read the one that will get you hooked on Chesterton. But that depends on what you need Chesterton for right now in your life. Do you need a shot of joy? Feel like you need a renewed sense of why you're even alive? Read Man Alive. Do you want to find out the real revolution going on in this world? Read The Man Who Was Thursday. Is anyone asking you philosophical questions such as, what is sin? Or is there any such thing as sin? Or how can any sane person even believe in God? Read Orthodoxy. Slowly. Don't plan to finish it over one weekend. Are you wondering what book it was that made C.S. Lewis turn from an atheist to a Christian? Read The Everlasting Man. Need a good detective novel? Read Father Brown. Want to read the best introduction to Chesterton? Read The Apostle of Common Sense by Dale Ahlquist, president of the American Chesterton Society. Who is Chesterton? Find out at chesterton.org. Should you read Chesterton? Of course you should. That's just pure common sense. I'm Nancy Brown, blog mistress for the American Chesterton Society, and I hope you'll join me next time for another Chesterton moment.
Thanks, Nancy. It's so fun to learn more about this great author, G.K. Chesterton. And of course, if you want to know even more, you can head over to chesterton.org, and we'll have links in our show notes for you to visit Nancy over at the American Chesterton Society. And thanks, Nancy, for being a part of the Catholic Moments family. And next up, we're going to share this week's feature interview. This is with a new friend of mine, Alicia Hernon. And Alicia's name might sound familiar to you. She comes from a very special family. She's actually the sister of Catholic author Regina Doman, and also the sister of Catholic musician Martin Doman. So Alicia is here this week to share some great information about her brand new CD, Beloved. And as we begin the interview, we're going to hear a little bit of the music from Beloved. It's such a great song, Cry of the Beloved. And during the course of the interview, you'll hear another song as well. And I'm so happy to introduce this special young lady, Alicia Hernon.
Draw me, O King, I will follow you eagerly. Draw me, O King, to your rooms. The love that you give is sweeter than wine. How rightly you are loved. How rightly you are loved. Draw me, O King, I will follow you eagerly. Draw me, O King, to your rooms. The love that you give is sweeter than wine. How rightly you are loved. How rightly you are loved.
Next up on today's episode of Catholic Moments, I'm very happy to share my conversation with one of my favorite new recording artists, a Catholic mom and Catholic musician, Alicia Hernon. How are you today, Alicia?
I am doing great. Lisa, thank you so much for having me on. I really, really appreciate this opportunity.
Well, it's a real treat. From the moment I first heard your music, I thought, I've got to have her on. I want to talk about these songs and everything. But before we start talking about the music, let's talk a little bit about you and your family. Why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Okay, well, my name is Alicia Hernon, and I'm married to my husband, Michael Hernon, who works for Franciscan University. And we graduated. We're actually alumni of Franciscan, and we both graduated in 1994, and we've lived in Steubenville, Ohio, ever since. And we have 8 children. We've been married 15 years. Our oldest just turned 14 just a couple days ago. And I have been a musician pretty much my whole life. I come from a very musical family. My brother, Martin Doman, is a professional musician, and I have other brothers, too, who are extremely talented. And we just basically grew up singing our whole lives, and I started leading music for Mass when I was 10 years old, believe it or not. My dad and I did it together. And I really just always have done music for church, for liturgical things, and then I actually took a year off in college and traveled with another woman. Her name at the time was Allison Waldrop, and it is now Allison Miller, and she's married and actually not doing music ministry anymore. Mm-hmm. But that was a great opportunity for me to travel. We traveled for a whole year, off and on, 2 weeks on the road and 2 weeks off, and we did concerts and retreats and conferences, and
wow.
That was really my first introduction to doing not church music, but doing performance music, where I was performing and speaking about my faith and really evangelizing through my music. And it was during that time that my songwriting kind of started taking off. And anyway.
And that's where you are now. You know, we have to mention, too, I'm a big fan of a lot of the members of the Doman family. We have to mention your sister, Regina, before we get too far into the conversation, and her wonderful writing. We've had her as a guest on CatholicMom.com and on this podcast. And she, I know, is the person who first brought my attention to your work. But I want to know about your parents, because they've got to be just so proud of their kids. How big is your family of origin, and were your mom? You mentioned your dad was a singer, or a musician of some kind. Are your mom and dad both creative people, and it's obviously in your genes?
I would, if you asked them if they were creative people, they would both say no. My father is an electrical engineer, and my mother is a math professor.
Oh my goodness!
Yes. So even though the music and math thing does go together, my mom isn't particularly musical. But she did grow up in Greenwich Village in New York City and was around the arts her whole life. And so she grew up appreciating music and theater and just really felt that was just a part of who she was. That was a part of education. And so when we were growing up, it was standard. Everybody took 3 years of piano. That's just what you did. And we always had music playing. We had a lot of Broadway playing in our house all the time. Now, my father was kind of a country boy, and he has a beautiful voice. And he is, just as a music teacher, looking at his voice, he just has really great tone, and it's a very natural kind of voice. And he would sing all the time. And he would encourage us to sing all the time. We would sing as a family. I forgot to mention, I am the second of 10 children.
Okay, yeah, that's what I wanted to know. And you have some adopted siblings as well?
Nope. Oh. These are all just one at a time, one by one. The Lord gave them naturally to my parents.
Perfect.
And, so we really had a very musical household. And so not all of my siblings are musicians, but everybody sings, everyone values music, and a certain number of siblings have gone on to become, like my brother Martin, obviously, as I mentioned, but I also have other brothers and sisters who are very musical and very talented. So,
well, maybe one by one over the course of the next year, I can interview all 10 of the Doman.
It would be very
family
interesting.
Children. Or get you all on at once on a big conference call.
Oh my gosh! If you had us all at once, I don't know if you could handle it, because we're all extroverted and we're all, like my mom used to say, we're all chiefs and no Indians. So.
Well, they must have done a great job. So let's talk about the CD. It's Beloved. Yes. And again, our guest today is Alicia Hernon, and you can find her website at aliciahernon.com. We'll definitely have links in the show notes because I want all of you to immediately put down your iPods and go order the CD after we finish the conversation. But the CD, again, is called Beloved. Tell us about the journey of this CD and kind of what inspired it and how you were able to release it this last year.
Well, I've been writing music since I was a teenager, and as I said, when I started traveling with Allison, that's when my songwriting really took off. And many of my songs are a reflection of the very personal relationship that I've developed with our Lord, with Jesus. And basically through prayer and through growing in my faith, that's where these songs would come from. The song that really a lot of people have fallen in love with is a song that I wrote using the words from the Song of Songs, and it's called Cry of the Beloved.
Yes.
And the refrain is, "Draw me, O King, I will follow you eagerly." And that is our response to the Lord. And then the verses are the Lord speaking, calling, "Where are you? My love, your voice is beautiful, you are lovely to me." And that's just a reflection of the relationship that I was developing with the Lord as a single woman. Another song that is very popular is a song to Our Lady called Maria. And I wrote that when I was really just coming to understand, as an adult, just coming to understand who was Mary in my life and where did she fit in my spirituality. Like I said, I had a relationship with Jesus, a personal relationship that was very strong. But as I grew, I was looking and, the Blessed Mother, how does she fit in this relationship with Jesus? And it was really through exploring that and through praying that I came to write this song, Maria, which is really, the refrain is just a calling out, calling for her, Maria, and come to me, and calling her by their different titles. The song, I really stuck to a lot of the traditional prayers of Mary, traditional titles like from the Litany of Our Lady, and because I really felt like there's so few modern contemporary songs to Our Lady that are really that's really honoring her, I guess.
And it's really something uniquely Catholic, that relationship that we have with our Blessed Mother.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among all women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb. Our Lord, our Lord, our Lord, Jesus, Maria, vessel of divinity, Maria, mother star of the sea, Maria, tower of ivory, Maria, Maria, come to me. Hail, Holy Queen, enthroned above.
We have to talk about one of my favorite songs on the CD, Talitha Kumi, and I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly, but
No, that's right.
Share with us a little bit about that particular song and what it means to your family.
Well, this song is actually a song that I do not claim for my own at all. It was written first as a poem by a woman who actually I've never met, who lost a 2-day-old daughter. It was a baby that was born with many deformities, and this was their first child. And she wrote this poem as part of her healing from losing her daughter at such a young age. This woman presented it to my brother Martin. She met him, Martin, who I mentioned, as a wonderful musician in his own right, and he took the poem and put it into song, and he did all the backgrounds and and he recorded it. And when Martin was really one of the reasons that I did the CD, he has been encouraging me for years to do a CD of my own, because I've sung with him on his CDs, and other musicians like Jim Cowan and have asked me to sing with them, and I've sung with them, but I've never done a project of my own. But anyway, when I was recording actually at Martin's house, just beginning the groundwork for this CD, he said, "Oh, you have to hear this song that I wrote," and he put it actually on a CD that he has of his own. So I heard it. I really wanted to put it on my own CD, especially because the beginning verses are a woman, the mother, singing, and then the second verse is the child singing, and the last verse is Jesus. And so Martin and I actually do it as a duet, which I think is very effective in showing Jesus with this woman, this child, during this journey. And I have to say, it was very difficult for me to practice and then record this song without crying. And actually after, because the song is just so moving, and it is absolutely my favorite song on the CD.
Oh, good.
I absolutely love it. I really think that this is a song that people have to hear. They have to hear, because there's so many women who have suffered the loss of a child through miscarriage, through death, and this really is the truth, that Jesus, God in his permissive will allows these things to happen, but he is with us through this, and he gives us these experiences, or allows us to experience these things, so we can know in the depth of our heart that he is there with us. About 3 years ago this past summer, I lost my nephew Joshua, my sister Regina's son, died in a tragic accident, as I know you know, Lisa.
Yes.
And it was really that experience that it's like you know things in your head. You know God will be there for you. You trust in him. You know those things. But then when you go through a life-changing experience like this that really rocks your world, you really know. So I really know that God will be there for me through anything. And that is really part of the message of this song, is that God's going to hold our hand. He never promised us roses. He never promised us a garden of roses, that life would be easy. He promised us the cross. But he also promised us he would be there with us through it. And I just really believe it's a really powerful song.
Oh, it's an incredible song. I get a lump in my throat thinking about that song. So I can't imagine singing it.
When the recording was finished and I brought the master copy home, I sat in my living room and I put the song on the CD. It was like 10 o'clock at night. I put the song on and I just sat in the middle of my living room and cried. And I'm going to cry right now. But it really I just was able to just let it all out, what I had just been kind of trying to hold back just so I could technically make it an effective song. And, it's a really powerful song.
Well, I know it's going to be a gift to so many people, and we're going to close out our podcast today playing that song. But before we let you go, I want to mention your brother, Martin Doman, his website, martindoman.com, right?
Yeah.
DOMAN.
Yeah, and Martin is featured on a number of the songs on my CD.
And I hope maybe you can get me a little in to interview him sometime soon, because I have not been able to have a conversation with him. So I'm looking forward to that someday soon. And also Alicia's sister, Regina, who is just such an incredible author, and you can find her at reginadoman.com.
And actually, one of the songs on my CD actually was written, the words to it was written by Regina. So Regina's actually even part of
Really? Which song is that?
It's called The Ring Song.
Oh, I love that song.
She wrote it first as a poem, and then I put it to music, and then Martin and I sang it. So it's really a family.
What a gift!
A family project for that. Yeah.
Well, she's just so talented. I'm, as about 1/10 of the writer that Regina is, she's one of my big heroes. So. Again, Alicia's CD is called Beloved. And Alicia, how can people track you down if they want to get copies of the CD?
Oh, just go to Alicia Hernon, just as one word, .com, ALICIA HERNON, and you can order it, and I will ship it out to you.
Well, I would love to have another hour with you to talk about all this beautiful music, but I know that you're a busy mom with lots to do, so I'm going to respect that. Are there any closing thoughts that you'd like to share with our listening audience before we let you get back to your teaching and your songs and your family?
Yeah, you know what? Just that the CD is really, I really had a heart for women in writing this and writing the different songs and putting it together, and it just kind of follows the path of women, consecrated women, married women, engaged women, single women, mothers, and my children sing on it for me. And so that's really where my heart is for the CD, is that it will, you know, encourage and refresh all people, but especially women and especially moms, because we need that so much.
And that theme is so apparent throughout the course of the songs that you've pulled together. I hope I hope that you're still writing and at work on a future project, but in the meantime, we're going to enjoy this one. And for the guys out there who are listening, don't let the fact that this is a theme album dissuade you from checking it out, because you will absolutely love the songs on this CD. I know you're going to get a sampling of them here in the podcast, and you're going to want more. So be sure to head over to aliciahernon.com. And Alicia, keep us posted on your music and all that you've got going on so that we can keep our listeners abreast of your career.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lisa, for having me.
Well, have a great day.
Thank you.
I'm telling you, I can't get enough of Alicia's music. It's been so fun the last few weeks to enjoy these songs, and now I'm so happy to share them with you as well. And I really hope that you'll head over to Alicia's website and take a look at Beloved. It's really a very special CD, and it's got so much wonderful variety of music. And you can visit Alicia at her website at aliciahernon.com. We'll have the link, of course, for you in the show note. And we're going to close out the podcast today with the favorite of the songs that we discussed, Talitha Kumi, but not quite yet, because I have some more feedback to share. Actually, got a lot of feedback since we've got two weeks worth, and I'm going to sort through it a little bit and share some of the highlights with you. You know, as I'm doing this, I'm going to remind you, because our first feedback is from a good friend, Marcella in Maryland, who made reference to our Father Robert Barron podcast, and we're going to hear from our friend Pat on that as well. Let me share with you Marcella's email. She says, "Dear Lisa, I've only heard your last 2 podcasts, but I decided to write you because I can't thank you enough for featuring Father Robert Barron, excuse me. What a gift to all of us. Thank you for telling us about him. I'm fascinated with his work, and as I'm sure are many of your listeners. I pledge my contribution and my prayers. Father Barron is a treasure for our church. May God bless his work abundantly." And this is from Marcella. And on the topic of Father Barron, let's hear from our good friend Pat Gone from the Among Women podcast.
Hi, Lisa. It's your East Coast pal, Pat Gone here from the Among Women podcast. So glad that you got to interview Father Robert Barron, and I just want to remind your listeners what a great interviewer you are, and what a great interview that was with Father Barron. And I just want to recommend, if people haven't heard your interview with him, they should go back and listen to that episode. I got to see the first movie of the Catholicism Project when I was out in New Jersey last week at the Catholic Marketing Network show, and I have to tell you, it's groundbreaking. We need to direct people and their resources toward this project. So, Lisa, thanks for everything you do. Thanks for that great interview. And Lisa, by the way, thanks for your great support of Among Women. It's because of women like you who've blazed the trail that people like me have had the courage to get up and get into the podcasting ministry. So, Lisa, thanks for all you're doing. We love CatholicMom.com, and we love Catholic Moments. God bless you.
And I love you, Pat Gone. You are such a sweetie. Thanks so much for taking the time to send feedback. You people know how much I love feedback, so it means the world to me when people take the time like Pat did to call in or to send an MP3 file. If you're not yet subscribed to the Among Women podcast, you are missing out on something very special. Pat, you can hear her voice is silky smooth. She was the voice behind our good friend Deacon Tom Fox's promo that we played on the show recently. And she's just got the heart of an angel. Absolutely love Pat and can't recommend her show enough. And I want to second her request that if you haven't already done so, this is the month that we're asking you to go over to wordonfire.org and to support the work of Father Robert Barron. most notably the Catholicism Project. We want to help him get out that last episode. We want it for our Catholic families, for our Catholic parishes, and for people who have not yet discovered our faith. We want and we need this project to be finished. So I'm urging you to please keep Father Barron and his crew in your prayers, and to, even if it's a very small sacrificial donation that you can make, to please take a moment to follow the links that we'll have in the show notes and to support his work. It's very important. I don't ask you guys for money very often. Well, maybe I do, but it's never for me, right? But please, 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 if you can help me with supporting Father Robert Barron. There are a few days left in August. If you're listening to this late and it's September, it's not too late to make your donation. Every little bit counts. It doesn't matter how large it is. What he needs to know is that there are a lot of people backing him from around the country and encouraging him in his work. And that's what you can do by either sending a small donation or even contacting him and letting him know that you heard us talking about it here on the podcast and that you're praying for him as well. I know that would mean the world to him. So thanks again, Pat. And I want to say thank you also to some of my new friends over on SQPN Connect. And if you don't know what that is, it's the brand new social networking site for the Star Quest Production Network. All you have to do is go over to sqpn.com and follow the links to sqpnconnect.com. And I want to give some shout outs to some of my new friends out there: Susan C., Chris and Tanya, Mariska, and especially to Bernadette, who's listening all the way from Glasgow. It's so great to have you as part of the SQPN Connect family, and I'm so glad that you guys are my friends. And if you're not a member there yet, it's free and easy to sign up. We'll have a link in our show notes that you can do that. And hey, I'd like to be your friend, so head over there, folks. And our last email today is one that I'm going to share with you is from Violin Mama. And this was from the blog over at CatholicMoments.com. She says, "Hey, love your podcast and blog and Merry Moments and our great deacon. It's like having a conversation with best friends who lift your heart. I would have commented sooner, but I've had one of those weeks. Bless you all and have a great one." And that's from our friend Violin Mama, and she left that comment over at CatholicMoments.com. Your comments mean the world to us, and I want to mention, since Violin Mama did, our good friend Deacon Tom Fox, and give you the heads up that in just a few days you're going to be able to tune into his brand new podcast, Catholic Vitamins, and you can already get a little sneak peek at the work that's being done towards that show. It's over at CatholicVitamins.com. And now let's hear from our good friend, Deacon Tom Fox.
May I start this deacon moment by reminding that Lisa and I are working together to celebrate and honor our Catholic priests in this year dedicated by the Holy Father to celebrating priesthood. We welcome your stories or fond memories. We welcome your feedback on the good that a priest may have done for you or your family. In my last reflection, I said that I would often share from the stories and experiences of Madonna House, a lay community which has tremendous love of priests. The foundress of Madonna House is Servant of God Catherine Doherty, and she told a story that I hope will enter your heart as it has mine. A long time ago, when Catherine was young and when her family was in Poland, Catherine was walking along a road and came upon the village priest. He was apparently passed out in the mud and mire of a ditch. Catherine ran home and said, "Mommy, Mommy, I saw the Monsignor and he's drunk." Her mother said, "Is that so? Well, we better go help him." When they came back to where the priest was still lying in the mud, Mother said, "Catherine, you're a big girl, help me lift him up." But before they started the effort, Catherine's mother lifted the priest's hand and kissed it, dirt and all. They helped, half dragging the Monsignor back to the rectory, where they turned him over to a caretaker. When Catherine and her mom were back in their own home, Mother said, "Catherine, go and get the baby's little potty. Please fill it with water and bring it here." While Catherine was doing this, her mother cut and trimmed some beautiful white lilies from the garden. And when Catherine came with the potty filled with water, her mother put the flowers in the pot. "Look at that," her mother said. "The white lilies don't change, though they sit in the potty instead of a beautiful vase. Always remember that, Catherine." She said the potty might be the priest. The white lily is Christ, the Christ who never changes, the Christ who is always present in the priest in a special way. And as that short story ends, I want to tell you that at Madonna houses everywhere, they have a fierce love and devotion to priests, praying for them constantly. You may think the story a bit odd, but I tell it to share with you if you have seen some or much brokenness in a priest along the way. Christ can work through them in spite of whatever flaws the priest may have, and if flawed, then priests especially need your prayers. In this year of the priest, let us lift them up, thanking God for the gift of the priest and asking for more of them. This is Deacon Tom. Blessings.
Thanks so much, Deacon Tom. I absolutely loved that story. What a wonderful bit of inspiration and a great reminder that during this year for priests, you and I can be lifting them up in our prayers and praying for healing for those in need, and especially in Thanksgiving for the many great priests in our life and also the great deacons in our life. And don't forget, pretty soon we're going to be able to listen to Catholic Vitamins with Deacon Tom Fox and his lovely wife, Dee. So I'll keep you abreast of that. I'm hoping that I've already actually subscribed secretly. I'll tell you, you can go over to iTunes and check it out over there. So check out CatholicVitamins.com, and you can always visit Deacon Tom at his website at www.deacontomonline.com. And now, next up is our good friend, Carrie Madden, the Catholic Parish Media Liaison.
Hey, Lisa, it's Carrie Madden, the Catholic Parish Media Liaison, calling you with an update. I recently discovered piousmedia.com. They are an online movie rental company, kind of like Netflix and Blockbuster, and they provide movies, conversion stories, religious education tools, as well as Catholic-friendly Hollywood movies and some old television series that people love to see again. And they, of course, screen everything for purity, and it just sounds like a wonderful, wonderful company. So I'm going to get a subscription and try them out and encourage your readers to do so as well. I did post a little bit more about them on my blog, and I hope you're having a great day. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks for the heads up on that, Carrie. It's always so helpful to find information about websites such as piousmedia.com, and we'll have links in our show notes to Carrie's blog. I hope that we'll hear again from Carrie soon because she always has such great tips, and she's so wonderful about calling in. You can do the same thing. I'd love to hear from you too, even if you're not an official parish media liaison like Carrie is. We'd love to hear from you on our voice feedback line. You can call anytime at 206-339-9272, and that phone number is listed wherever you listen to CatholicMoments.com, and you can even find it over at iTunes. You can look at any of the blogs where you listen and find the numbers there, and we would love to hear from you by phone, by email. I'd love to hook up with you guys over to sqpnconnect.com or facebook.com, and are you following me on Twitter, because we share a lot of news and information there, especially news about things like our contests, and I've got some contest updates for you. We are currently having 3 contests, if you can believe that. The first is your chance to win a Sarah Bauer t-shirt, and we've had very few entries for this, I think because the instructions were not very well communicated by me on the last podcast, but you have through the end of the month of August. Wow, I almost said October. I'm skipping the whole September. You have through the end of the month of August to head over anywhere where you listen to this podcast. So that's sqpn.com, catholicmoments.com, catholicmom.com, faithandfamilylive.com. There are lots of places where you listen. Anywhere where you're listening, if you just leave a comment, you're entered to win, and it's your chance to win a Sarah Bauer t-shirt. You'll be really cool, and you'll be helping support an awesome Catholic musician as well. Our second contest is ending soon. It's actually ending August 29th. It's for a terrific cookbook called Taste of Heaven, and this is available over at catholicmom.com in the contest section. All you need to do is leave your name and a brief comment, and you'll be entered to win that great book, which features recipes from monks and nuns all around the United States. And it's a terrific book. I've seen a copy of it, and it's absolutely wonderful. And the third contest, which has been very popular, continues to get entries every day, is our Making Music, Praying Twice contest. You have the chance to win the homeschool edition of Kate Danilek's wonderful product. We shared an interview with Kate with you on the last podcast. And whether or not you homeschool, if you've got children in your home or in your parish, you're going to want to enter that contest for your chance to win that wonderful product to share with your kids. Great music instruction from a Catholic perspective. So those are our contests. Make sure you head over and enter all of them. And we're about to the end of this week's podcast. We're going to close out not with a prayer this week, but in a prayer in the form of a song. It's a beautiful song by our new friend Alicia Hernon. It's called Talitha Kumi. And as we listen to this song, I hope that you'll join me in praying for families anywhere who have lost members of their family, particularly children. The song is a wonderful reminder that we need to keep them in prayer for their loss and also for intercession on behalf of their little ones. So please enjoy this wonderful song, Talitha Kumi. And until next time, everyone, I hope you're well, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
His tears fell down just as yours did, and I heard him call my name. Talitha Kumi, little girl, arise. Come take my hand and walk with me into my paradise. From the light of this eternal day, I have banished death and fear away. I myself will wipe your eyes. Please, little girl, arise. And every night, Jesus and I gaze down upon your eyes. Mama, listen to our Savior, for his love remains the same. Mama, hold my hand and listen. Hear him whispering your name. Talitha Kumi, lift up your eyes. You must keep your hope in heaven, for that's where your treasure lies. And in the night of that eternal dawn, all sorrow, pain, and grief are gone. I myself will wipe your eyes, where no child ever died. Come, my child, arise. Come, my child, arise.
SQPN, leading the way in Catholic new media.